Okay, welcome to chapter 4. This chapter is on fractions, decimals, and percents. We're going to look at how they're related to one another. And then we're also going to look at how we can change a fraction to a decimal, decimal to percent, and backwards and forwards. Basically, you can go from either one of those to any of the other ones. Okay, so let's start with just talking about percent first, and then we'll look at some actual examples, some really foundational percents and such that will convert to fractions and decimals, and hopefully you'll get an idea of how things are looking from there. First of all, percent. That phrase percent, as it says right here, it means that it's out of 100. Okay, I'm going to use a different color there. Means that it's out of 100. So it doesn't matter what we're dealing with. Anything that's out of 100 we can express as a percent. So if we go, it can be any number, right? So if we have 30 out of 100, that is equal to 30%. If we have 95 out of 100, that equals 95%. If we have 4 out of 100, that equals 4%. If we have 325 out of 100, that is 325%. You betcha. Okay, so it's all out of 100% is. Okay, now the main ones that we're going to look at, right off the bat here are these ones right here. 50, 25, and 10. So let's just kind of go over these. This is just an intro to this stuff. 50%, just like I kind of showed you on the other screen, that we can express at 50 over 100. And we can go back and forth there, right? We would express that as a decimal, 0 and 50 hundredths or 0 and 5 tenths. 50% always means half of a number. Every time you see 50%, and we want to find 50% of anything, it's always half. Okay, 25% now. 25%, percent's always out of 100, so this could be 25 out of 100. Or as a decimal, 0 and 25 hundredths. Okay, 25% is always a quarter of a number, and as we'll look at in a different video, a quarter of a number is always found by dividing by 4. But we'll come to that another time. Okay, 10%. Yeah, you betcha. That is 10 out of 100. And we can express that as a decimal. That would be 0 and 1/10 or 0 and 10 hundredths. Either is correct. Okay, and that is always 1/10 of a number. Okay, we're going to work with 50, 25, and 10 quite a bit. So we'll come back to these quite a bit. What I want to show you here in this number line is if we're working with, if we've got 0 right here and 1 right here, we need to know what comes in between here. So we've got our percents here. 0 is obviously 0%. 1 whole, that's the whole shooting match, that's 100%. Right in the middle, that's 50%, and as we saw on that chart, that is also the same as 0.50 or 0.5. Okay, it's the same as 50%. Or 1/2. 1/4 or 25%, that is 0 and 25 hundredths. And 75 or 3/4, that's 0 and 75 hundredths. Okay, interchangeable. Now, what I want you to do here, this is some practice that we've done in class quite a bit. And this is actually a pretty good glimpse at what you would have to be able to do in this section of this chapter. You need to be able to take a number as a percent, change it to a fraction, that's interesting, and then to a decimal as well, and work in any direction. So I want you to pause the video right now. I want you to look at these and see which ones you can figure out. And then I will give you the answers. Okay. I'm going to give you the answers now. Which color should I use? Let's go dark red. Okay. So 30 over 100. Let's go to the second one here. I know that any number out of 100 is also a percent. So this is also 30%. Okay. 30 over 100, or I like to say it, 30 hundredths, we can write as a decimal like this. 0 and 30 hundredths. Okay. Next one. Ooh, this is a tricky one. This number right here, that is 5 hundredths. 5 hundredths. You would write that as a fraction here. 5 over 100. 5 hundredths. And you know anything out of 100 is a percent. So this must be 5%. This is the type of a question that kids kind of get confused with. Actually, I'm not going to talk about how they get confused though. But if you got that one, good on you. Okay, 42%. 42% out of 100, that is 42 out of 100. And as a decimal, again, we would read that as 42 hundredths. So that is 0, 42 hundredths, just like that. Okay, next one, 15 out of 100. It's out of 100, so it must be 15%. 15 hundredths is 0, 15 hundredths. Okay, now we had it as a decimal first. We have 72 hundredths. So let's write that as a fraction, 72 hundredths. And anything out of 100, you betcha, 72%. Okay, awesome. Okay, 8% now. 8%. This fraction you should be able to get because you already know percent is out of 100. So this is 8 out of 100. How do you write 8 hundredths as a decimal? 0.08. Right? This is tenths. This is the hundredths position. Right? And that is the first section here. This is our first try at converting percents to fractions to decimals and back and forth.